handed them to you.
Okay.
Let me
You
use
know,
your
this is my
coat.
first time at this, so I notice there always somebody reading.
That's you.
Now,
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening. The Leon County School Board meeting for December 8th, 2020 is now called to order. We are meeting in the Acolina Howell Center at 3955 West Pensacola Street, Tallahassee, Florida. Thank each of you for being with us tonight. This is our final meeting for this year, and we look forward to the season so that we may get a break. Opening items. Number one, the Pledge of Allegiance is going to be led by
There's Miss Harris right there, right on time. I like it.
School board member.
As she walks into her first period class, right?
Yes.
All right, so school board member Arsha Harris will introduce the child's Timberwolf that's giving the Pledge of Allegiance and the thought for the day.
Okay, so it is said, and it will be done.
all right.
The Pledge of Allegiance first, please. Yes, ma'am.
So, Arsha, you're going to
Arsha,
announce
can you
the
introduce
person.
Jake for us?
Yes.
All right.
Today, Jake Springer is here from Childs High School to say the Pledge of Allegiance with us.
Is that a flag?
It is, right over there, Jake.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hold on, Jake. I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy. So what grade are you in?
I'm a senior.
A senior. And are you part of the golf team? Or?
Yes, sir, I am. I play golf at Childs, so.
Awesome. Well, congratulations and thank you for being here. So outside
Yes,
of
sir.
golf, what are your other interests? What else do you like to do?
Sleep.
That's good. I like that
Yeah,
one.
sleep and play golf. That's about it.
Sleep and play golf.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you for being here.
We appreciate you guys having us.
All right.
For the thought of the day, we are also joined by Hayden Kwan, who also attends Childs High School.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Hello, Hayden.
Hello.
So, my thought of the day is a quote from FDR. So, Franklin Delano Roosevelt said on October 7th, 1932, in the middle of the Great Depression, "In these days of difficulty, we Americans everywhere must and shall choose the path of social justice, the path of faith, the path of hope, the path of love towards our fellow man. I hope we can, in this divided time, remember that we are all Americans, that we are all people, that we all share more in common than we have in differences, that we should all treat each other with respect. Please be kind to one another. Look out for your friends, neighbors, family members. Reach out to people. Every little positive action makes the world a better place. I hope we can keep this in mind, especially during this chaotic time. Thank you."
Thank you.
Hayden,
Yeah.
thank you. We all needed to hear that. I really appreciate it. So, wait. So, are you a senior as well? What grade are
Yes,
you in?
sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
You're a senior as well, and you're on the swim team who we're
Yes,
recognizing tonight. All right. Well, congratulations and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay. May I please note that I believe Hayden is accompanied by his parents, Kenny Kwan and Ruby Lee, and the principal, Joe Burgess. So if you would wave, parents and Mr. Burgess, thank you for being here. Yes. Let's see if our other students were accompanied by their parents. Yes. David and Ann Springer, Reese Springer's sister, and still Principal Joe Burgess. So parents, thank you for being here as well. We're so proud and happy to have you here tonight. We move now to the changes and additions, and we're not there just yet.
There are no changes and additions.
There aren't
Madam
any
Chair.
changes and
Maybe a
additions.
first.
It is. What a surprise. Okay. Superintendent Spotlight. You're on, Mr. Superintendent.
Madam Chair, it seems like we're making this an annual event.
I
At this
know.
time, I would like to bring the proud principal of Lawton Childs High School, Mr. Joe Burgess, to the podium to introduce the special guest we have in
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First of all, it's a pleasure to be here, Superintendent, School Board, and our student representative from Childs High School, Arsha Harris. And So you just saw a great representation of our two student athletes, just doing what they do every day, which is making things happen. First, going to talk about our golf team. They're in here right now, and they're two-time state champions. And all of these golfers are special in their own right, but we have a great team. I mean, being honest, our JV team is pretty good too. I mean, but they do work hard. It is a sport a lot of times that you're by yourself. You don't have the fanfare chasing you, but they grit and they grind. They had to make accommodations because of the way that the year got started as far as being able to play with us dealing with COVID, but they persevered. And, it is a testament to them winning back-to-back, and I'm very proud of them. Their parents who all, who followed them and supported them, and it really takes a lot. And like I said, they're going to go on to do great things. I mean, they've got a wealth of talent. If you pull out the files on each one of them, they're very accomplished individuals. And so I think that really helps them as far as what they're able to do. They are led by Coach Ken Smith. He's right here. And he coaches a number of things. And, yeah, y'all can give it up for Coach Smith. Let's give it up for him. And I don't know if it's been publicly announced, but Coach Smith is the 3A golf coach of the year. So, also as well. And I apologize. Usually on evenings like this, I have Coach Edo with me as our athletic director. Wanted to give him a shout out, but we got a multitude of events that are happening tonight, and so we were crisscrossing and everything else. And but I do appreciate it, and you guys always are so good to us, giving us a chance to come here and be recognized by you. That is the testament. Because even when I post online when they won their championships, I said, well, we'll see you at the school board meeting. And that it means a lot. We appreciate that. So. Actually, if members of the golf team, y'all stand up.
Yeah.
And listen, if you're ever playing a round of golf and you need somebody to help you score, get one of these young men right here. But I know we got social distancing. I don't know if we're doing pictures or however we're working that out, but the superintendent.
So why don't we have Coach Smith and I go way back to our time together at Leon before he left and went north to the Georgia line. And so congratulations, Coach Smith. Will you introduce your team? And I know Jake, who just gave the pledge, and I know the Bell kid, but other than that.
Up front, we have Aiden Ash, we have Drew Miller, we have Tank Lawson, we have Taylor Bell, we got Connor McCann, Parker Bell in the back, Jake Springer, Patrick McCann, and my assistant coach, Jason Hill.
Well, guys, to go back to back is quite an accomplishment. Every single high school student, no matter what sport you participate in, dreams of winning a state championship, and to win two, this is a moment you'll remember for the rest of your life. And I'm just glad we were able to get you guys back out there and doing what you love in addition to school, right? You're student athletes, student first, so I'm sure we have some good students on this team as well. But can't thank you enough for the way you represented not only Childs High School, but the entire Leon County School District. We're very proud of you. So congratulations on this accomplishment.
Thank you.
So, got any ideas as far as a picture?
Outside.
All right, so we're asking to go outside and we'll take a picture real quick, and then bring the swim team in. You want to do that?
Okay.
Whatever you say.
Okay. All
Works.
right.
Thank you so much. We're so proud
I'll
of your
meet you in
accomplishment.
the lobby.
Great. We're going to continue with our meeting.
All right, let's take a picture in the lobby.
Got a swim team
I know it. So as we now prepare for the swim team, who will be coming in the door shortly, as soon as this group exits, keeping in mind social distancing. Great. Those young men make us proud every year. For the last 2 years, state champions. Outstanding job, Principal Burgess, you and your staff. We appreciate all you do. Entering the room now
You know, I don't know if I've shared with you guys my own personal state championship story. So while we're in this transition, might be a good time to share.
I would love to hear it.
Thank you, Coach
It looks
Board
like
Member
we got you there.
Jones. Yes, so I played golf for Lincoln High School, go Trojans, and we made it to the state tournament. This would be the girls golf team of 1988, where we came in second to last because one team did not show up. So
Second
there
to
you
last.
go. That is my claim to fame.
We appreciate
Under
Alva
Coach Paulo
Swafford's
Halloran. This is a true story.
That's fine.
This is a true story.
We have commercials. That was a commercial.
I'm
Thank
happy
you.
to fill the dead air with my very
Listen,
embarrassing
thank
high
you.
school story. So,
Okay.
okay, look, there's winners, actual winners in front of us. We'll turn it over there.
All right. So, not let there be one dead moment. We will continue to be prepared to
And our
receive this
superintendent
group.
is
The
There you go.
superintendent is returning.
Perfect timing.
Perfect
Yes, it
timing.
is. Yes, it is.
All right.
You missed a great story.
You did.
About a second to win loss. Okay.
All right. Whew. That's public education right there. We got to keep it going. Okay. The next group up is our swim team. And so our girls team is the state champion. And then we have a boys individual champion right here, Hayden, that you heard. So he actually was an individual champion in the boys. And let me just, they've been on a run. I mean, if you've been here for the last 8 years at school board meetings, our swim team is boys or girls have been here. And I uniquely brag on them because they hit the water at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
My goodness.
And I've got other student athletes who complain this, that, and the other. And I said, have you seen the swim team schedule? By the way, they go back in the pool in the afternoon. And if you look to them, they keep their grades up.
Great.
Okay? And I don't want to leave Hayden out because he keeps his grades up too. These are scholar athletes, and I really mean that when I say that they are scholar athletes, okay? But even more than that, they're great people, and I think you guys heard that when you heard Hayden come up here and talk. That's the kind of kids that they are, and I'm really proud of them, the sacrifices that they make, the way that they represent, and unique in swimming. I mean, I could say it's in some other sports, but unique with them, they actually cheer on the other teams. Sometimes even in some of their meets, when they were crushing their opponents, they're still cheering them on, trying to help them along. So they have a great spirit. Our coach, Maggie Crutchfield, is from, now let's give it up for Miss Crutchfield, please. I know she doesn't want any accolades, but she does. She's like a mama bear with them, and but also to the parents. They have a great organization. They really help out. They pitch in. They help out whatever needs to be done. This year was really tough. You know, there was a lot of restrictions. They had to travel a lot, but they got it done. It's amazing. And then still getting all the practices done. So I'm proud of them. Team, y'all go ahead. Y'all stand up, please. And this is Coach Crutchfield right here.
Hi, good evening. We have Stella Grace Watts. She's a junior. She's actually committed to swim at the University of Alabama.
Wow.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I can't say that. Yeah, there's certain things you just choke on. I have Emily Shorpening. She's a senior. She's going to be swimming for Colorado. Liddy Hanlon, who just committed to the University of Kentucky. I can say that because I look really good in blue. We have Shelby Pashy is a sophomore this year. And then we have Bella Eck, our freshman. The back, we have Carly White, sophomore this year. And then we are our diver, Rachel Smidgen. This, I have to brag about Rachel. She wasn't sure about diving. This is a child who was going to Jacksonville during the COVID time to practice. It wasn't like right around the corner. I mean, literally going to Jacksonville with Carter Davis, our male diver, and then was going over to Moultrie. Very excited. She went in last place, just qualified for states, and then ended up placing 10th, Rachel? Yes, she bumped up 14 spots and earned us points.
Those diving points help you win a state championship.
Oh, you can't win. You don't win if you don't have divers. It just doesn't.
Wonderful.
I will say this: our girls, we had, as you can see, 7 swimmers, 1 diver. We won competing against kids with 22 swimmers.
Oh, that's great.
That shows the type of athlete that we have. Hayden, who is my heart. Hayden, everybody knows about his accolades, right? Perfect score ACT, 16 AP classes, phenomenal young man. But he is probably one of the most humble, caring, loving individuals you will ever meet. And what he does in the pool, he has committed to Stanford University.
To what university? Stanford. Okay, just want to be.
Yes.
He's going. Sorry, I know that. He's going to be working to compete internationally for Hong Kong. He's just an amazing young man. With that being said, we'd like to take this opportunity from Child's Swim and Dive to thank you all. We started pushing to have a season probably in March.
Yeah.
And even when our AD Edo was very ill, he contacted Mr. Burgess. It was nonstop, and people were like, "Oh, we're not going to have a season." Yes, we are. That wasn't an option, and we couldn't have done it without the backing of Leon County School. You guys stood up for these children. You understood what was important. And yes, their safety, and I understand the code regulations, but you understood for their mental health and their well-being. So with that, I first would like to acknowledge to our principal that, I don't know if you guys know this, but when we go to states, local teams from down there never have anyone from their school. In all the years, we are the only school that has our admin that never misses. And if he can't be there, then it's Mr. Swope or Mr. Edo. I mean, there's always someone there to represent, and that is amazing that South Florida teams don't even have anybody there, and we always do, and our kids notice and appreciate it. So for our state medal, thank you.
Thank you there.
And for you guys, we couldn't have been there without you guys, and we would like for y'all to carry this.
Why don't I take them on their behalf?
That's what I was going to ask you to do, because nobody does, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I finally have a state championship. I am so proud of you. When I was a kid at Leon, I always dreamed, I always wanted one of these, right? But you should be ladies, and Hayden, you should be very proud of yourselves. And this is a recurring thing. It seems like every year, Child's girls swim team and others are up making the trip down here to be recognized. But we're just so honored for you and the way you've represented Leon County School District, not only Child's High School, but all of us. And can't wait to see what wonderful things you're going to go off and do as a roll tide or as an elephant or as a wildcat or wherever you're going from here. But can't thank you enough, and you should be very, very proud. And your student athletes, and I'm sure what he says about your grades. And Hayden, best of luck at Stanford in the fall. But we were proud. We know what kids lost out on last spring. We saw those seniors that missed out on a senior season in baseball, and the girls in senior season in softball, and the track kids, and it just broke my heart because I know there's yes, academics are important, but a big part of what you do is in that pool, whether it's with us or Attack or whoever, and so it was important for all of us to get you guys back to some sense of normalcy, and we're just so thankful and so very proud. All right, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Get a team picture in the lobby.
Okay. Thank you, Principal
Thank you
Burgess.
again for all your support.
Thank you, Coach Crutchfield. We appreciate all you do. Have a good evening. Enjoy the holidays, everyone. Great.
I just want to say I was on the Belglade High School.
We have another good
team.
story.
Which team?
I was on the Belglade High School golf
Okay.
team,
Uh-huh.
and I believe I was the captain.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think we might have won a game or two, but we certainly didn't go to state.
Wow.
Or finish second to last.
I tell you,
Didn't finish
we've
second to
got
last because we weren't even in
commercials.
we weren't even in the running.
You were
but I
on
was
the team. That's why you are
And
outstanding
you were
school
the
board
captain. You were a
members
leader
now.
back then, friend.
That's it.
They
That's
just
it.
know.
Okay. Wow. All of this is wonderful noise that we're making tonight. Just understand, listening audience, that we really do work hard to be able to do these commercials. Okay, now let's continue with our agenda. And I believe we're at the part for persons to be heard. Are there individuals to be heard, Madam Attorney?
Yes, Madam Chair. earlier today, there was one email, public comment that was sent to the persons to be heard at leonschools.net email address. It was
Okay.
sent pretty quickly right before the start of the meeting, so copies of that email are at each of your desks for you to review if you haven't
Okay.
already had an opportunity. In addition, there are 3 persons to be heard here tonight. The first
right.
speaker is Scott Mazer.
Okay, Mr. Mazur.
You could come to the podium, give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Scott Mazer, 3319 Dartmoor Drive, Tallahassee, Florida, speaking on behalf of LCTA, Leon Classroom Teachers Association. Superintendent, board, thank you for having this opportunity tonight. Just wanted to take a moment to kind of bring everybody up to speed on a couple of things that we've been working on. Since we last met or had an opportunity to share with everybody, we've conducted 2 roundtables with the superintendent, with instructional staff, to make sure that we had an opportunity to kind of share some of the things that are impacting our teachers and educators in the district. And so everything from mental health to internet status, volunteer programs, hotlines, compulsory school attendance, communication between Canvas and Focus, the hybrid model, class sizes. We've had a lot of things on the list. Not everything has been resolved yet, but we are all working through the process and making sure that we have an opportunity to kind of continue the dialogue. So we appreciate the opportunity, Superintendent Hannah. You gave the reward before the election, following through afterwards and everything, so it's greatly appreciated about how we're being able to do the work. I do want to take a moment to bring up something, though, that when it comes to the mental health piece, that's very important for everybody to understand. And I know that the superintendent understands this, and this is why we're still working through some things that deal with class size, class load, hybrid block model, schedule. We can do a lot of things with mental health that kind of talks about programs, and that was mentioned by one of the teachers during the roundtable, but programs do not necessarily always deal with the symptoms. And so as long as we're kind of still working on the root causes that are these things, we don't want to kind of sit there and think that just like putting a Band-Aid on a compound fracture is going to go ahead and heal it. So there's some certain real underlying things that we kind of continue to talk about. And at the end of it, I want to just say, I know there's some good news tonight, and so thank you to the LCTA Board of Directors, the LCTA Bargaining Committee, and our bargaining team, Kim Stralo, Jared Kilpatrick, Avis Berry, Michelle Linquist-Smith, Rebecca Burr, Shari Gwanter, and Patty Oley, and Mike Dale of FEA, because we were able to do some really good things, and looking forward to that announcement. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes, ma'am.
the next speaker is Jessica Bartley.
Ms. Barkley.
We are trying to determine whether she may be outside waiting to come in, since we had folks. Just give us 1 second.
Okay.
Well, the third is outside in her car also. Okay, here we go. Ms. Bartley, if you could come to the podium, please give us your full name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Jessica Barthel, address 1001 San Luis Road. Trying to get my thoughts in order. We were playing with the sound in the other room. I heard my name. I am here before you guys today, right now. This is probably the 3rd time that I've spoken before the board as a teacher. But this is the first time I've spoken to you guys after actually teaching in the hybrid model at the high school level. So, personally, right now, I am on a month of leave for my health. Obviously, I have devices and stuff, for several reasons that I think are important to bring before you guys today as we talk about the reopening of schools, continuing to try to bring more students into the schools that are failing, falling behind, what have you. This hybrid model is not sustainable. And I have spoken to so many teachers that are either at breaking point, like myself, that have had to take a step back for our health, our sanity, and our students in the long run, or that have left this profession because they value their health more than what is being demanded of us in the position that we are currently in. We were under the impression going into this school year that we were operating under a mandate from the state that required us to go back to school in person because we needed the funding, because it came down to money. And yet, when we filed with the FEA for a lawsuit saying that the way in which we were being forced back into the system wasn't safe, we won until it got put back in the system, and it was determined that the districts were responsible for this choice. It didn't come down to the state mandate. And that's why the FEA lawsuit was overturned. So teachers like myself, who are on the front lines, overwhelmed, not okay, sacrificing our health in multiple capacities because every single condition for which I am being treated right now is exacerbated by stress to a profound degree. I am watching my students suffer, mostly the in-person kids, not the digital kids. I am watching my students fail and trying not to take that personally because of how much work I put into this job. And I am repeatedly forced to come back to the conclusion that something we are doing is not working. I had to stop watching the school board meetings because I was so repeatedly hurt that we kept saying everything was okay and that we're doing a good job when we're not. We're struggling profoundly.
Time. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
And the third speaker is Ms. Dietrich Erst, and I believe Dr. Gale has gone to... So, yes, we have one more speaker that is outside because of the numbers of folks that we had inside. And I believe Dr. Gale has gone to check on that. So give us 1 second. Is she gone? Okay, we have no more speakers, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Madam Attorney. Moving the agenda to reports to be heard. I see that there are none to date from the District Advisory Council. The Student District Advisory Council, Lane Schulte, Chairperson, are you here? If you would come to the podium, we'll be happy to listen to your report.
I believe he's appearing by Zoom. Mr. Schulte, if you can hear, if she is appearing by Zoom, my apologies. If you can hear us, please turn your camera on.
Thank you.
And unmute.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
There you are.
Hi.
So SDAC met from 11:30 to 12 p.m. via Zoom on December 2nd, and we were joined by Ms. Anderson and Ms. Fitzgerald to discuss different ways to improve student mental health. Some of our ideas include a district-wide mental health week, starting a mental health Instagram, weekly inspiring Canvas messages, and coordinating student government Instagrams between schools to post and spread awareness for mental health. And that's all we have.
Okay, thank you, and we appreciate the energy and efforts that you placed in bringing us this report. Maybe just ask the number of students that are involved with you in doing this work.
It is about 20 people.
20 people? Okay.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Jones.
Ms. Schulte, this is School Board Member Jones. Has your committee commenced any work in preparing for next month's get out the voter registration for at our respective high schools? Have y'all discussed those issues?
No, I don't think we have.
All right. There was a campaign that was started last year by your own student, your former student president, Madeline Fayok. And I know that we have will now be an annual day designated the Tuesday following the Martin Luther King holiday, where we'll be working in concert to register voters across all 5 of our high schools. And so I know that the district, Dr. Gale, is working with that, and I'm sure that she'll be enlisting your support so that that can be successful in an effort to continue to teach in a most hands-on way student civic engagement. And again, it will forever be a legacy project of your Students Advisory Council. So we thank you for your input and your weighing in and making that event occur annually. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey, Lane, it's Mr. Hannah. Did Miss Fitzgerald talk to you guys about Wellness Wednesday next week at all, or no?
The mental health day?
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Yes.
What'd she say?
She just said that we were going to have, I think it was a PowerPoint or have somebody talking about mental health awareness at the different schools.
Right. So we've set aside this day, listening to you, I know we did something in the beginning of the year around mental health, because we knew that you guys had been gone for a long time and things were different since we last saw you. So we wanted to ensure for both your physical and mental health when we return to school, and then listening to your prior meeting and also continuing those conversations. So next Wednesday will be the first Wellness Wednesday, and we'll continue those into next semester to have those conversations with you guys to make sure that you're in a good place. And for those students who are not, for your peers who are not, that we are identifying ways to get them help. I know we've had workshops for your parents. I think we have another workshop tomorrow evening to continue, but your voices were heard, and I really appreciate your involvement, because otherwise we would have no idea what's going on. So thank you for your leadership, okay?
Thank you.
Ms. Wood?
Yes, I just wanted to say you had several ideas there that sounded like they were student-led ideas, and do you have a way to make those happen? Do you need any help, I guess, from the district to move forward with some of those ideas?
I think we do need district approval to do them. So we were talking about it in our meeting, and I think everyone was pretty much on board with it. So if we're able to, we'd like to go ahead and start with them.
I see Dr. Gill nodding yes, so that's great, because we need to put some action behind those ideas. And so again, I think we all just really appreciate the student effort, and students listen to students better than they do adults, so anything that's student-led
That's right.
always works better, so go for it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Schulte, what school do you attend?
Leon High School.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
you so much for the energy and the commitment that you bring with you, Ms. Schulte. And we look forward to hearing from you later in the year, or maybe early next year, after we get through the first Wednesdays and see the wonderful things that you will have done, and you'll be able to give us a report at that time. All right? But do continue to reach out. Thank you, ma'am. All right. We are now at Title I Advisory Council. Talithia Edwards, Ms. Edwards, is on Zoom. There she is. Hi. Can you hear us? All right. Unmute.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We're listening. We're ready for you.
Hey, how are you all today?
We're great. And
it's
you?
great. So good to see you. It's been a while. I want to reiterate, thank you all for listening to the TAC and rethinking the rollout approach for the Chromebooks. That was great. Our last meeting happened on November 16th via Zoom. As everyone else's meeting, we're kind of zoomed out. It is difficult because we're all, looking at the same things as we're dealing with this pandemic. We had so many wonderful recommendations that we wanted to bring to you all last year before COVID knocked us all off our feet. But we're still moving forward. and gathering information from our Title I schools and teachers in Title I community. I'm going to just go over a little bit of the things that we talked about in our meeting. It was not a very long meeting, but it was a very informative meeting. And we're really interested and really excited to see across the district this push for mental health, because we understand how everyone is being affected. It was really moving to hear that teacher talk about, the stresses. And I have a teacher that's my husband's a teacher as well, and just watching teachers be really resilient and learning how to get their little breaks, mental health breaks, as they go back and do what they need to do for our students. There's been a request from the Title I Advisory Council for a survey specifically looking at COVID vulnerabilities. And so from the district, we got word that you all are setting out, the Title I office is setting out to do a survey in the spring, as it always is. One of the questions as we talked through that was that we know that the district has explored in length the COVID vulnerabilities and disparities as we talked about reopening the school. So I wanted to know if maybe we can get a presentation of those results and to maybe help us suffice for that survey that we're asking for, so that we can be informed all together as a group. We still maintain our priorities, which is early childhood education, teacher retention and incentives, and better collaboration between schools. But we added a fourth focus, which is the digital divide. And that is the predominant conversation in all of our meetings, right? Broadband width. We had someone from one of the schools share about the connectivity in the rural area. We're hearing about our students that are in digital academy not being engaged and logging on, so attendance is an issue. We're hearing the concern from principals as students who need to make gains, right? We're not allowing mentors and visitors inside of the school, so that's a deficit that we're working with. And so we're trying to think of creative ways of how to engage the community to partner with our Title I schools as we're hearing these concerns in a COVID-friendly and COVID-safe way. Rose Skeppel, Dr. Skeppel, advises the Florida Education Advisory Committee, and she has agreed to help us explore some options to work with our schools to address some of these issues, as well as FAMU's College of Education has agreed as well. And I think that is it. I know that we are focused, this is my personal thing, we're focusing a lot on COVID, and we need to continue that focus. But I want to remind us as a district and as a school board, not to forget about our early childhood education needs. That's a critical piece. I hear a lot of parents who have kindergartners and young students who have left them home to do digital, to do the digital academy, and that those students aren't really making a lot of gains. And so I want to know what we're going to know. We have Forward Leon with Brooke Bruner, but really want us to think about that early childhood piece, so this new cohort of learners are not left behind as we figure out on COVID-19. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Edwards. We appreciate the work that you do.
If I can add, just Madam Chair, just a couple of thoughts. Talithia, I was, 60 Minutes did a special about 2 or 3 Sundays ago about all the missing students across the country, and we're facing that same dilemma or problem of we know a number of our kindergarten kids did not enter. Their parents decided to wait another year. Some kids went to private school, some left and went to homeschool. So that's an issue that Leon County faces, not unlike other counties throughout the state of Florida. And last night when I got home, ironically, the CBS Evening News did a long story during their national broadcast on the digital kids and how nationwide they were struggling. Students that were normally A and B students were now C and D students. The number of failures, failing grades across the country for students has increased dramatically. So we are facing, we're not the lone wolf or the lone ranger in this, trying to figure out how we can prevent that from continuing. Some of the feedback I've gotten from teachers, though, is encouraging, where teachers and students were really struggling, especially some of the students in the digital academy, where they've kind of got their sea legs a little bit now the second 9 weeks and have seemed to do a little bit better. And some kids didn't really take us at our word about that. Look, it's not going to be like it was last spring. This is for real now. It's for real, and they realize it's for real. But for us to continue to look at creative ways to engage with kids to keep that from happening. And you can just see it on parents. It's so hard because they're trying to, that decision they're wrestling between. I know my child needs to be in school, but I'm really worried for the safety of the people in our home, and that balance of what do I do? And a lot of families are really struggling with that. And so we just continue to do the best we can every single day to reach out to kids to give them the help that they need. But thank you, Talithia, for your leadership. You're amazing for our community. We're lucky to have you. But thank you for helping us find creative and look for creative solutions to these problems. It's easy to point out problems. We need solutions, right? So thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Ms. Edwards, thank you so much. I continue to be concerned as well, my colleagues on the board, about the learning that should be taking place. And it dawns on me right now that come June at graduation time, when we start to look at our graduation rates and the number of students, I guess, who will be graduating, I don't know that parents and students, and neither will we, be very happy with those numbers that will come forward. And so I'd like to know on this end as well what we might do better and differently to make certain that our students understand the great responsibility that comes with tuning in and logging in on time in these classes, and not turning the computers off, and the importance of attendance, and an understanding that we have teachers who are really trying and caring, and actually there will not be many opportunities, I think, to make up the learning that will be missed. And so I was saying to some of my relatives who are complaining about what it is they have to do now to make certain to cut the grade and cut the mustard, and I said, nobody's going to be giving you any extra points. So you need to log in on time for your classes. You need to sit through the classes and not turn your Chromebooks off, and you need to attend the classes. I don't know if we'll be back at the Civic Center again for graduations, but wherever we will be, it would be great not to have the numbers decreased to the point that we don't have large numbers of graduates. And so I offer that, and thank you for what you continue to do, and hopefully, I don't know if we'll ever find the solutions and make everybody happy. I doubt that we'll ever please or appease everybody, but to the extent that we understand how important this education is, and dare not to leave anybody behind with intention. So I thank you for what you do. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving along to Exceptional Student Advisory Council, no report from them. Early Learning Advisory Council, no report from them. The Foundation for Leon County Schools, there is a report from them, and I think they might be bringing money.
Big check staring at me.
Money, honey. Bring the bacon home. Thank you.
We're all yours, Mr. Clark.
Hey,
Hello,
great to be
Mr.
back
Clark.
with you all again. How's everybody doing?
We're always happy to see you.
Well,
He looks a little bit like Santa, doesn't he?
I didn't say that. He bears wonderful
doesn't Santa
gifts.
have a little more hair? I don't know. But anyway,
It is a
I
compliment.
definitely could fill
Yes.
this suit out. There's no problem about that.
Great.
Thank y'all for letting us be here again tonight. We have some more grants to give out. Like
Good.
at the last meeting, I was telling you that we were going to do a second round, and we did. Tonight, we're going to give out 18 grants
Wow.
to 13 different schools.
Wow.
That's going to give out a little over $39,000. For the year, we will have given 30 grants in excess of $122,000, and 22 different schools received at least one grant. Some schools received more than one. In addition to those funds, Robb Middle School and Nims Middle School also received $2,000 AT&T grants, which they were able to get through us, which we got the money through the consortium of Florida Education Foundations. So when you add all that up, we almost got to $130,000 in giving out grants this year to our schools. And we're hoping there's going to be some more that are. Oh, I forgot one. $2,000 Dollar General grant that went to Springwood. I forgot about that one. Sylvia didn't remind me. So anyway, we are here to pass out some money, and we're going to get this show rolling. And Miss Marie Van Herzenberg, my board chairperson, is going to read the grant winners. Some of them were unable to attend tonight because it was very short notice that we gave them. And then some of them did have some concerns about their health and those kind of things. So we respected that. So, Marie, show's all yours.
All right. First up, the grant is the Ultimate STEAM Movement, Appalachia Tapestry Magnet School of the Arts. The teacher is Shayla Lightford Brown and Principal Jennifer Ricardo for $2,500.
Yay. Woo. Big money, big money.
You wanted to give a speech.
But we told her we didn't, yeah. All right, next up is Poetic Justice, Griffin Middle School. Kanisha Cofield is the teacher, and Patrick Wright is the principal for $2,500.
Go, Griffin.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thorpe Street. Griffin, yes. You know Griffin. Thorpe Street Corridor, Griffin.
And the next two come from Rickards High School. The first one is Explorations in Entrepreneurial Art Making with Jessica Barthel. And the second one is Virtual Reality Human Geography Field Trips with Jennifer Sullivan. And Bobby McBride is here.
Yay.
Rickards High School.
Next up is A Microscopic Approach to Scientific Process, Killarn Lakes Elementary School, with Krista Wilson and Brenda Wagner for $2,400.
All right.
All right. Making Connections, Oak Ridge Elementary School, Terry Martin and Jasmine Smith for $1,551.73. And also with Oak Ridge's Support for You from the Great Fresh Crew, with Aquila Muhammad and Jasmine Smith again for $2,500.
Get your time.
They'll figure it out.
Next time I'll probably do it.
Congratulations. Next up is Raw Middle School STEAM Club and Class with Raw Middle School teacher Stephanie Corneas and Principal Marcus Scott for $2,500.
Yeah. Thorpe Street Corridor. Yes.
And in public.
First year with us.
Hi.
You're with us?
Yes, I'm at Ross. Your conversation touched my heart and changed me.
This was my makeup artist when I did the show for the ballet, the
Tallahassee
Ballet. And I did the Nutcracker last year, and she was at another private school in town.
Okay.
Hey, you got some skills. Awesome.
Great.
Did they give you money like that?
Oh, wow. Okay. Raw. Great. Thank you. Take care.
And she was the one that also got the AT&T.
Second grade.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Wonderful.
All right, up next is Getting Books in Their Hands and in Their Homes with Rudiger Elementary School. Samantha
Rudiger.
Bodiford and Sally Stevens for $2,500.
Oh my goodness.
Street they're on?
Farm Street corridor. What happened?
He's got the money.
Great.
All right, the next two are from Sale High School, both for $2,500. Humanity Tells a Story,
Yeah.
Be Kind, and Sale Connect. Teachers are Nancy Richardson and Dr. Rebecca Turk with Principal Matt Robertson.
All right. Yay, Sale. Woohoo! I heard a woohoo.
Jackson Bluff Road corridor.
There you go. That's it. That's it.
Been there once or twice.
That's it.
Next up is Follow the Sensory Path to Math, Springwood Elementary School. Rebecca Wirt and Sylvia Myers as your principal for $2,000.
Everybody loves Sylvia Myers.
Congratulations. Oh, you're welcome.
Yay.
All right, the next two are from Swift Creek Middle School.
Oh, that's a yay.
Ruminating on Reading, Way of the Wolf, Embrace the Pack, Grow as a Pack. Teachers Julie Strickland, Brian Howard, and Principal Sue Rochelle.
So, yay.
All right, and then the last two go to W.T. Moore Elementary School.
Yay.
Booming with Success, We Eat Books for Lunch with Jennifer Topper and Lindsay Mercer with Carrie Anderson as your principal.
Hey, yeah.
That would be on Dixon Ave.
Dempsey Mayo.
We refer to it as the north side.
What side? I was a Sunday school teacher. She's everything she is because I taught her about the Lord.
Oh, there you go.
Prayers.
Hey, you want to
And
mention about
hallelujah.
Hey, thank you, guys.
Yeah, as part of our Internet for All initiative, we were very blessed at the Truist Foundation, which is the merger of SunTrust Bank and BB&T Bank. They awarded us a $15,000 grant to help us provide internet for families in our school system who do not have internet. Getting calls every day.
Denver has a picture up. That boy, all right?
Yeah, that's
there you
us.
go.
Yeah.
That's Chris, who is their regional
Yeah,
president. He has
Chris Mills.
children at Buck Lake, Swift Creek, and Lincoln.
Yes.
Okay.
And one last thing that I just want to
Okay,
inform
go
you
right
of. If you remember last year, we received the money from the Ballard partners and their family. And this year we're shopping again for children who were not able to be put on other lists. And our school social workers have identified them. And we're going to be helping 23 families. And I know it's going to be in excess of 80 children because one of the families had 10 children.
Okay.
So we've been at Walmart the last few mornings doing some shopping, and it's a great. We're blessed that money is still there, allowing us to help those families. And just want to thank the Ballard partners and the Ballard family again for that donation.
Wonderful.
So,
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Wishing everyone a happy holidays and a prosperous new year, and thank you all for allowing us to be here tonight.
Of course.
Thank you,
Mr.
Eric.
Jones,
Thank
you
you,
wanted to say
yes.
something?
Mr. Clark, before you leave, you and your team, Mr. Superintendent, I just want to acknowledge the great work of the foundation. Their responsiveness during the pandemic and being able to corral our community and harness the goodwill of our neighbors, particularly through the Internet for All campaign and other methods by which people were able to give and engage, I know has been enormously impactful in our schools. I think you should be coming up on about a year anniversary
Yeah, it was in October 23rd.
And I just want you to know, and you recall it when you were hired, I had a great number of questions about what would be the future and the direction of our foundation. And I just want you to know I have been enormously impressed with the work, and your work could not come, and your leadership could not have come at a more critical time. So I just want to applaud you, the persons who work with you, as well as acknowledge the goodwill of our community and being responsive and seeing our foundation as a method and means by which everyone could be engaged to support the needs of our student populations and our schools. So again, kudos to you and congratulations on a job well done.
Well, thank you. It's been a total team effort between my foundation board and with the Leon County Schools and the support that we're getting from, of course, you board members. It's just been a wonderful little over a year. And I told you we were going to get to new heights. We're not there yet. We're getting up the elevator, but we're not to the top floor yet, but we're going to get there. So thank you all.
Good. This board appreciates you. Thank you. And now we're ready for items of consent. Reopening Leon County Schools update. Too fast. All right. Mrs.
I'm not going to sing, but it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh.
Chromebooks everywhere.
Chromebooks everywhere.
So, aren't they beautiful?
They are.
Can you imagine how proud our kids are to receive these and to go home with us? Every single child in Leon County School District has one of these, and will be taken back and forth from school to home. It's going to completely transform the way we deliver instruction in our school system. And I'm just so thankful to you all, to our team that made this initiative happen, for us providing financial resources to support it. But this investment will serve every single child in our school system for many, many years. And it's a proud moment for all of us. So
Yes, it is.
thank you to the folks at IT and Justin Williamson and everyone at TIG that made this happen. But it's a very exciting moment for all of us. So very, very proud of this. So I'm going to speak just a few minutes and have Dr. Cox speak just a couple of minutes, and then we'll open it up for questions. First, we all received some really good news on November 30th with the new emergency order issued by the governor and the commissioner. We were all kind of waiting with bated breath as far as the finances for the spring. They held us harmless. The department held us harmless, and the state held us harmless in the fall for our October FTE. We've already shared, it's no secret, that we are down a number of students, but in October they held us harmless. So school superintendents across the state and school boards across the state were holding their collective breath, waiting to see what would happen during the February FTE period. And now with this new emergency order, again holding school districts throughout the state of Florida harmless so we can continue that continuity of services, I'm just very thankful. Very thankful to the governor, very thankful to Commissioner Corcoran for them recognizing the heavy lift that school districts throughout the state of Florida are doing to engage with students, and it comes with financial responsibility and financial burden. But for them to continue to hold us harmless in February it's huge. Otherwise, we would have suffered between $10 and $15 million loss of revenue from FTE. So again, thankful to the governor and the commissioner for doubling down basically on what they started this fall. With that, we know we can keep everyone gainfully employed throughout the remainder of this school year. We know the legislature's coming into session this January. We'll worry about next year. But right now, we know we're in good shape for the rest of the current school year. With that, I know Mr. Mazur was up here. We made an announcement about a month ago for the teacher raise package, the $9 million teacher raise package. Tonight, I'm proud to announce that will be reflected. The beginnings of those raises will be reflected in their December check next week before the Christmas break, which is always good. But I'd like to shout out to my finance team and all the folks in HR and to payroll, payroll department, HR department, because there was a lot of manual work to get all of those processed. But we're proud to announce tonight that they will be starting in the December check before the holiday. So, So on the financial side, we have a lot of good news and good things are happening. My conversations with LCTA have been going well. We're looking to solutions for problems. We had the teacher tonight. We know that hybrid model as a pedagogy, it's not what we recommend. The kids being at home, distance learning, it's not what we recommend. We want all of our children back in school, but we are finding our way and looking for creative solutions to every challenge that we are facing. And I'm all in with our teachers in support of initiatives they've come up with. We talked about some of those things, just teachers sharing with teachers the other day that, I'm treating all my kids like they're in Digital Academy, and the kids in class are zooming in, and the kids at home are zooming in, and they're really sharing with each other, and they're getting their groove, so to speak. But with that, we know we still have a long way to go. Look, the election's over. We're still wearing masks, so it wasn't some big hoax of what's going on. It is very concerning, the increase in numbers that we are seeing throughout our country. And I think, thankfully, because of your hard work as board members, the working with a partnership with our teachers and our bus drivers and the task force and all of our community, that we came together to put protocols and practices in place to safely reopen our schools and to keep those schools open during the course of the school year. With that, we all are, very concerned with what's happening across our country with the increase in the cases. And Dr. Cox, I would at this time then kind of tee you up if you would share some information. And there were some new guidelines put out by the CDC about quarantine periods and time. I think you convened your group together to get some insights. So if you would share some numbers and then some thoughts moving forward for the new guidelines set by the CDC and the Leon County Health Department.
Okay, thank you, Rocky. And board members, I've included in your packet today some examples. And Sharonda, you may or may not have the ability to put it up on the screen. Basically, it's a memorandum with the latest guidance from CDC in regards to not contact tracing, in regards to quarantine. It's also an example, a sample of our protocols for tracing that's actually on our website. It's been there for quite some time. And then a couple of sheets of the new way that we handle information through an email that anybody in the community, anybody in the schools can contact and immediately get answers to their questions in regards to quarantine and contact tracing, release time, all those kind of things. I want to mention to you that my rhetoric has been that we just need to hang on. If we're running 4 laps around a track as a mile, we're on that last lap. There's light at the end of the tunnel. We have the vaccine that's coming, and it will be coming from many, many different groups, not just Pfizer, not just Moderna. And we're most of the employees for the school system. Just about all of us are essential employees. It will be a little bit off for our students. That was the last group that the testing is going on with. But for our employees, we're all essential. And I'm thinking in January, I will go ahead and tell you that the health department is contacting me.
I'm sorry, you think about January for what?
Can you speak up a little bit, Alan?
Yeah.
Y'all can't hear me because it's saying, how about now?
It's better.
What did you say about January? You think what's going to happen in January?
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry I didn't come across clear. They have contacted me, the health department, and just said we need to start thinking about how we would, maybe our processes on vaccination for schools, okay? Nothing definite. There's a lot that have to go into play. We have vaccinated schools before. Back in the 80s, we did it from MMR, which is measles, mumps, and rubella. But they were able to put it on a cart and travel from school to school. They're not sure they'll be able to do that with COVID vaccines. So they asked me to start thinking about possible clinic sites and those kind of things. So that's all it was. It was that quick conversation. We do possibly expect in January that vaccinations could start for essential employees. Now that's all I've got. There's nothing else. There's we don't know how. I just know that there will be several companies turning these things out I really believe that we're going to find ourselves with a lot of vaccination options out there for everybody, for the community, sooner than later. And so I did want to let you know that they have given me a call. And so Rocky and I are just having some brief conversations, but it's hard, but we can't make any real decisions. There's not enough information. I do think the light's at the end of the tunnel. So that's on the vaccine part. Now, y'all may have heard about the new guidelines that came from CDC in regards to shortening the quarantine. And in your packet, I've given everybody a copy of this memorandum, okay? Basically, the schools are a safe place. And the data, and I've said that for the last couple of months, and the data has spoken that way. Fauci on national news last night, he said that. He said the same thing. The schools have proven to be a safe place for us to be, actually. But anyway, there's been a big push to shorten the quarantine, because right now students quarantine anywhere from 10 to 14 days based on their disposition, based on the disposition of the symptomatic or the close contact, those kind of things. But 10 to 14 days. This new guidance from CDC, it basically says that there are some additional options for asymptomatic close contacts. Those are students that were put in quarantine. They have no symptoms, but they were inside the bubble, 15 minutes and 6 feet, which is the what we call the bubble. Right now, they're quarantined for about 14 days. On the 6th day of quarantine, based on the new guidance, they can take a test. It has to be the PCR. We do not accept rapid tests. They take the PCR test, and on day 7, or after completion of day 7, if it's negative and they're asymptomatic, remember sickness rules everything, over everything, they can come back. Also, if they choose not to test, asymptomatic close contacts can come back after day 10. So it's just a couple of days later. Now, here's the issue, and this is why I convened the COVID response team today, is that when you read, if you've got in front of individuals are to be counseled to adhere strictly to the public health mitigation through day 14. So even if those students tested negative and could cut their quarantine in half, when they come back for those 7 days, they've got to wear a mask the entire time, and they got to maintain the 6 feet social distancing. There's the problem, because you're going to have schools that can't do that, right? We have schools that don't have the 6 feet everywhere, not many, and you're going to have schools that can do that. So that's one of the things that we've convened the group about today, is that, you know, to get their thoughts, and the group is the health department and the medical officers from 2 of the hospitals. So we're having discussion on that. I can tell you that everybody in the group on the phone call today felt like we've had success. We've been successful with what we've been doing. And maybe keep on keeping on at least until the break. We're a week and a half away from the winter break. So that puts us almost a month out before students come back, and then we'll reconvene the group after the winter break and have further discussion on the latest guidance from CDC. But right now, for the week and a half, we've got everybody tuned into it pretty good. We do have an awful lot of students that end up going to quarantine, but we prepared for that. We prepared for that with DA. We prepared for that with the Chromebooks. Any questions on that memorandum piece? I think we've all heard about it.
Dr. Cox?
Yes.
I'm listening very carefully, and I'm looking at the memorandum right now, and I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed and just a little bit confused, and then I want to be very hopeful. And so perhaps the discussion that we're planning to have a little later will be helpful to me. And I'm wondering, from this information that we have here, how will we be sharing this information outside of what you just said with our parents? And will it be presented in a way that, to me, is just a little bit clearer? Is that the plan? What are we going to do with this information?
It all depends on what we decide to do.
Okay, and
if we decide to stay the course, which is hard for me to come off that because it's worked well, it's been efficient. If we decide to come off the course and go with the shortened quarantine, then yes, we have to share that out. We'll do it through all of our public networks that we've used before.
So if I can add to that, I strongly recommend we don't change a single thing. I mean, that's great that they came out with these new guidelines. It's great they're shortening the quarantine, but at least for now, I don't recommend we change one single thing, at least until we come back in January, and then we kind of reassess where we are in January.
Okay.
I just don't. It doesn't make sense to me.
And I think that's good because this is confusing.
It is. It's very confusing. And you have to have the PCR test. Some kids could afford it. Some kids can't afford it. Then the kids that come back, they still have to be the 6 feet, 6 feet on the bus, 6 feet in the cafeteria. I mean, it's a convoluted mess. And we already have a hard enough time as it is contact tracing with the protocols we have in place now. I think this would make it even worse. And I'm sorry to parents that have had to go through the quarantine experience. I sincerely apologize for that. I know how inconvenient it is for you then to have to stay home potentially from work for 2 weeks with your child who's in quarantine. But for the health and safety of our county and our school system, I think we need to continue the practices we have in place, at least for the time being.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Jones.
Were you?
Well, Dr. Cox, were you finished with that presentation?
I had two other quick pieces just for information, but
go ahead, Dr. Cox.
No, go ahead, finish.
Please finish.
Okay. So I hear you, Ms. Bowen, and yes, it is confusing, and that's this has been my life for 6 months or 9 months actually, trying to explain this all over the place. There's a couple of other pieces I gave y'all. You'll be hearing more about the alternatives to quarantine, by the way, because it's a national initiative, and I've contacted many a district, so I'll be sharing that at some other point with you. There's a couple other sheets you got. One of them, it says COVID-19 positive test school protocol. If y'all can find that and look at that, I was asked to share our protocol, and you can look at that. It's pretty much whether a staff or student, if they are have tested positive, they're to notify their principal. If it's a staff member, their supervisor. And then that person, that principal or supervisor, will then notify my office. And here's the new piece, Leon School's COVID email. And we set that up with the health department, and it is an email that they have an employee sitting on it from 8 in the morning till 8 at night. And anybody can email that and get a question answered, okay? But right now, if we have a positive case at a school, a parent notifies that their child is positive, or an employee notifies their supervisor. They simply send it to my office. We've been doing this for months and months. And also to that Leon School's COVID, and then the contact tracing begins. And so our goal is to, of course, identify the positive cases, contact trace them, and remove the potential exposures, and then give guidance to both. That's been our goal, and we've been very quick about that. So I did want to just see that. And then I've included in there some samples for y'all of this new Leon School COVID email. And if you look at it, you'll see it's redacted. It's that redacted information. And, this is a very quick board meeting, but basically what it is it just says to school COVID, and it asks the questions, and this is coming from principals and whoever, and then from Leon School COVID back, saying here's your return dates, here's what you should be doing. And so that's the route we've gone to, and it really has expedited immediate contact of potential exposures. So by law, the health department gets about 48 hours. We've been able to get back, once we find a positive case or a potential exposure, we've been able to get back to them that same day. And it's tough for me I agree with Rocky. I told him, I said, I hate to move on something that's working. It's working well. The new quarantine protocol can really add another layer to this. But anyway, I just wanted y'all to get that, to see some of the sample examples of replies from this COVID email now that's manned by the Department of Health, and then our typical protocols that we've been following for several months. The vaccine update, once again, just to leave you with this, it's just a very initial phone call they gave me, but it's exciting to me. And I think we're seeing the end in sight. Now, it's winter. We are spiked a little bit right now in our numbers because we're coming off the Thanksgiving. There's an article in the paper today about it, that we're now starting to see the upper numbers coming back from Thanksgiving. And so, but we're not what you've seen around the country. That just hasn't hit us. And I think we found out today that the local hospital has 18 or 19 people that in their hospital beds. They were expecting considerably more numbers of that 6 months ago in the hospitalization. So it's up, but it's not up crazy. But that's the new stuff I wanted to present, and I know some board members might have questions now. We'll have a later discussion on it.
Okay, Ms. Woods, then Mr. Jones.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Cox and Superintendent. As you know, I've been talking to y'all this week a little bit, some of my concerns. And so, first, at some point, I'd like you to go over the protocols that we're using for after-school activities. I know that that's the one time when students that are in the digital academy are coming together with the students who aren't in the digital academy in some cases, and just this is certainly not the time to relax any of our protocols. And I know you know that, but it never hurts to remind people. Superintendent, I know you're having a principals meeting tomorrow, I believe. And, I think all of us would just really appreciate that all those protocols that are supposed to be happening are gone over with the principals, and then they go over with their after-school teams, because we are taking, seeing these kids up here tonight, you realize it's so important for the mental health of these kids to be able to compete. At the same time, we're taking a risk because we're having kids inside a gymnasium and letting their parents come in, and, so if it would be reassuring, I think, to all the board to know exactly what protocols we're using to make that as safe.
But along those lines, we are, unlike many other districts in the state, we are strictly limiting the number of fans that can attend these games. Rickards went over to play Baker County the other night, and Leon went to play in Okaloosa County the other night. Leon County is doing things that many other counties that we visit are not, and that's why we kind of restricted ourselves to our bubble. And that's why I'm really proud of what we've done, that we can get these kids back in the pool or out on the golf course. But we do have regulations in place when it comes to crowd, who's allowed to attend and not attend, capacity, much like Florida State and other colleges do in the country, across the country. But I can assure you, and our message tomorrow to principals will be the very same. We will not let our guard down, and we'll continue to practice all the things we put in place starting back in August 31st.
Okay, and to that, I think, Dr. Cox just mentioned the surge after Thanksgiving that was predicted on a national basis. And there was quite a campaign, I would say a national campaign, to tell people to please stay home, don't travel, don't get with your elderly parents or grandparents and that sort of thing. And I think that we have a great marketing team in Leon County Schools, and that we need to send a very strong message to our employees and to our parents and to our students that when we come back on the 5th, that's going to be another critical moment, because a lot of people are going to have been with their families and so forth. And anything we can do to encourage people to get tested, perhaps we can, I talked to Dr. Cox about this. It's, the rapid test is not the most reliable test, we know that, but for some people it's better than nothing. So, we can encourage our employees to get tested. And I was talking to Shari Galanta right before the meeting, and she mentioned that, Capital Health Plan has a situation where if you fill out certain paperwork, they will mail you a test that you can take at home. So anything like that we can inform our employees and our families about, the fewer, the more people who have especially a PCR test before they come back, just the safer our schools are going to be.
PCR, yeah, I would agree. We did get information today from one of the hospitals that over 70% of the rapid tests are either false positives or false negatives for people who are asymptomatic. That is very concerning because it's giving a false sense of security to folks who otherwise may actually be positive. So I would just caution that we don't want to go out and just say, I'm feeling good, I'm going to get tested. I'm tested, there's no problem. And that was the message that we heard today. Dr. Cox, you...
Yes. Yep.
Was that 70% correct? Is that right, Alan?
No, they were, this was actually the Ryan Smith from TMH. They've been running into 70% false negatives with the rapid test. Now, that's the test that the government sent to states to spread them out to school districts. So you have false positives and false negatives. And so that their concern, his concern, that's why everybody's just going to the PCR. And that's why it's the only one mentioned in the new guidelines is it just gives people walk away. I'm negative. Well, no, the virus hadn't built up to the point it's detectable. So he also told us that usually if they're symptomatic, it'll show them positive. But, a lot of times folks are asymptomatic and it's just, that's scary. Right. So we don't even accept them now. We just take with our staff. That's why we send them over there Lively and have a partnership with TMH. We only take the PCR. It's the one that's accurate. It's the one that's sensitive enough it can detect it.
Well, I guess, having learned that today, just talking to Dr. Cox about it, anything we can do as an awareness campaign about, there's going to be a temptation. Parents are ready for the children to go back to school on January 5th. They need to get back to work and that sort of thing. We need to really drive home the point that if there's any exposure, not to send their kids to school and to be honest about their results and not endanger our teachers. And I think if we frame it in, protect our teachers, because if we don't have teachers, your kids can't come to school at all. And we have some kind of campaign about do this to protect your teachers, I really think people could buy into it. So I'm asking that we do this. I don't know how other board members feel, but I just think it's really important that we have a visible campaign the entire holidays and especially before kids come back to school.
Okay. Mr. Jones?
I couldn't agree with School Board Member Wood more.
Absolutely.
I am concerned about, and I say that one, we are all well intentioned, and we are all concerned about our student populations and our faculty, and the persons who we are engaged with on a daily and constant basis. But I grow concerned. I continue to say this from this podium about words matter. Right, I'm more concerned. I'm not interested in prognostications. I'm more interested in what we know is consistent data. For example, it has been reported that that the positivity rate in our community has increased. It has gone from, it was in the 3s to the 4s, and now we're in the 5s. And so, if that's the case, that means that there is a growing level of infection in our community. That gives us reason to have pause. You'll also know that that same type of data that we have collected in this community has alerted our universities to have a different response about the return of their student populations back to our community, because they know that those kids go back to other communities, go back to where they came from, and then they come back here en masse. So I had thought that our conversation today would be, well, what kind of things are we going to do to prepare for what may be a spike in our community, such that we can be responsive about the return of our students, right? So the light at the end of the tunnel, it to me seems specious, because right now, in real time, there's a positivity rate. And as we talk about the vaccine, we don't know exactly how the vaccine is going to be administered, and we don't know if that's going to necessarily provide the salvo that we need most immediately for us to return back to school in January. So that's the kind of conversation that I would love to have guidance on so that we can equip, and this would be our last conversation as a district before we then anticipate coming back, and we won't meet until after everyone returns. So I was interested in hearing that type of dialogue. What do we do? What is our response to the increase in positivity rate? What is, that type of thing, so that we can be best prepared. That's all. And so I'm more interested in that, and perhaps we don't know. And maybe, Mr. Superintendent, we of course don't know quite that yet, but then that goes back to what Ms. Woods described, is our being flexible enough, I guess for lack of a better word, not to be dismissive, but reading the tea leaves such that we can then be able to communicate to our public, to our parents, to all of our stakeholders and constituencies, so that we can be prepared for a reopening at whatever time that is. But right now, as you can imagine, that all I hear, and if I were to be a prognosticator, right, all I hear is that there's an anticipated spike following the holidays because everybody's going to be traveling. We're not putting any moratorium on the activities of the families with whom we bring into our classrooms and before our students, and so who knows what problems they may have. So there's national implications and guidance that may come from this, and I just want us to be open to that and perhaps have our eyes wide open and not eyes wide shut, that we can be responsive to that. And I defer again to you, Mr. Superintendent. You are genuinely concerned, like I am, as is everyone, and cautious, rightfully cautious. But I'm not ready to rah-rah yet.
I don't think anybody's rah-rahing. That's why
I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel.
That we stay the course and continue the protocols and the practices we had in place starting back on August 31st. Also on August 31st, we had provisions and plans in place that on September 20th, if we had to retreat for a classroom or a school or the entire district, we were positioned to do that. With the delivery of these devices and Chromebooks, we're even in a better position to do just that, either at the classroom level or the school level. With the conversation or the emergency order that came from the governor, there was a caveat. We have to give them some assurances. One assurance is the same assurance that we had in August, that schools would remain open, brick and mortar, 5 days a week for those students and families that want to attend. We also have to get an opt-out letter from parents whose children are not succeeding or not doing well academically, for us as professional educators to put them on notice that we encourage them to return to school brick and mortar, and that parents have to sign a written notification to opt out as a family. That's another one of the assurances. So we have some things, because I'm just going to tell you, philosophically, things that are said in this room are not aligned with the things that are being said in the Turlington building. That's just the bitter facts. That's the bitter truth. But to your point, we are positioned on January the 5th, 6th, or 7th. If we need to adjust, we are positioned now in a way to make those adjustments.
Okay. That is great to hear, Mr. Superintendent. And I wasn't aware of the opt-out option either. And I know that has been an issue of concern. I believe that many of you, I think you were one who brought it up some time ago, about how about those kids who are not thriving in that digital environment? How do we have them come back to school? So that's new. I think that's great news to hear. I mean, if there's a option that parents have at their disposal, so that's great to know. Again, and perhaps it's not my intention to be dismissive, because words do matter, but I am still extremely cautious, and I appreciate Dr. Cox's analysis and his being engaged in this issue on behalf of the district, but I think we're all ready to see that light.
Yeah, well, I think we're encouraged, but we are not changing one single thing.
I'm just not quite optimistic yet.
Right.
Mr. Superintendent, Ms. Bowen.
Yes, Mr. Cox, go ahead. Dr.
Let me mention something too. When I say there's light at the end of the tunnel, I need everybody to keep on keeping on, and that's what y'all mentioned. We need to stay diligent. Everybody needs to stay alert, and that we don't need to get COVID wary, which is a term that's being used around the nation. I feel like it helps to do that if they know that there's hope coming. And that's why I say that. I think there is. I think the vaccines are coming. They're unbelievably effective compared to influenza A and B. And if people know, hey, if I can just hang in there and we can keep doing our protocols and keep diligent, then I think it'll make a big difference. I think people need to hear that. And that's why I made that statement. One more thing, Ms. Bowen, I got Scott Hansen, Ms. Wood on the line right now. He is at an event. He can speak to our co and extracurricular activities if you'd like to hear that now.
Yes, we would.
Alan, I do have a question, so I don't know if you're going to hang on for a little bit.
Okay, can he hold on for just a moment, Dr. Cox? Ms. Strickland has a question related to...
Yes, Strickland.
Alan,
Go
just
ahead.
real quick, one of the first releases that I saw of the categories of people who were going to be released the vaccine, teachers were not until about phase 3, which was very sad to see. They put, obviously, essential workers, hospital workers, but our teachers were a little farther down the list. Have you seen a change in that? Is that what I'm hearing?
It was 1B, one article I saw, but we're going to definitely do first responders, healthcare, compromised, and elderly are in front of us.
Right.
Okay, now this stuff is all kind of subject to change, because one thing they explained to me is, like, we were trying to think, let's say of essential workers, which just about everybody in education is, who would go first? Well, you can't even answer that right now, because if we have a huge availability of the vaccine and a large administration facility, a clinic, we could knock out everybody in a couple of days, not have to spread this thing out. So there's so many of those unanswered things right now, but I think that information is going to be coming very quick. I think when we come back in January, we're going to have clinics open and things are going to be happening.
So we had our joint meeting with the mayor, city commission, county commission, and I'm strongly advocating that our frontline workers, our bus drivers, our food service workers, and most importantly, our teachers and instructional staff move very high up on the list, and they're some of the first to receive the vaccine. And I'll continue to push that, and I know you will as well.
And again, just for everyone to hear, our teachers, our employees, all Leon County School District employees for testing have the partnership. They're able to go to Lively, regardless of what insurance they're on. Is that correct?
Yes, they have to be known exposures now, okay?
Okay.
And we work it through our risk management, and that's worked well. But yes, it doesn't cost them a dime.
And they know who to contact and how to go about that?
We contact them. So once we're notified that they have been in close contact, then we will find out, and then Todd Stupsky, our risk management person, will set up a time for them to get you tested.
So if they call us and say, "Hey, I was at a party this weekend, somebody was infected," then do we then route them, or? Okay.
I can route them, yes, and I have. Unless there's a known exposure. If there's a known exposure, then I can route them.
So, Dr. Cox, related to that, with Lively being there, that does not negate employees who may choose to go to the FAMU site, or does it?
Does not. And that's a very good point, Ms. Bowen, because people certainly have a right to go get tested, okay? Now, once they go get tested, they're out, right? That's something from 5 months ago, and we still hold that. If they choose to go get tested, they're out till the results come back.
Okay. All right. You had Mr. Hanson on the line, I believe?
I hope he's still there. He's at the Leon track. Scott, are you out there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Good.
Okay. Any questions for him regarding the extra and co-curricular activities?
No, we wanted to hear what he was sharing with us about the protocols, rules that were in place, please.
Talk to us about your protocol, Scott.
Okay, the protocols haven't changed since we started athletics or back in September. All the sports have temperature checks. All the coaches have their thermometers. They do temperature checks every day. They have a log sheet where they keep all the logs of the students that are coming. Every day they also ask the same questions. Have you been exposed? Have you been around anybody? So we are doing that with all the sports, and we continue to do that. We have meetings with the ADs every month to talk about the protocols, make sure what's going on. We have just started the winter sports right now. We currently have 6 sports going on with basketball, girls and boys. We have soccer going on, girls and boys. we have weightlifting, and we also have wrestling. So those sports are currently going on, and those coaches do a great job with setting up their schedules. Example, one of our employees did come down, tested positive, but the practice schedule they had was less than 5 minutes. He was keeping 6 feet away with a mask on, which allowed the team to not be in contact with him, and all of them were allowed to not be quarantined. He was quarantined and put in the COVID protocol. But so our schools are very aware of it. We go over it with the principals. Currently, I'm at a middle school track meet. This is our 4th track meet. We have one more next Tuesday for the city championship. As Mr. Jones likes, I like to use the saying, if you're not in the race, cover your face. And that's what the kids do and all of our employees. And the parents keep social distance all along Leon on the hill. If you could come out and see it, they're doing a great job. So that's just a background on what's been going on, and we keep reiterating it and going over that. And in January, we're going to have a meeting with all the principals and ADs after we meet with leadership and see how things are going after Christmas to decide what we're going to do with all the spring sports. There's 8 spring sports. We have to make a decision. Right now, our county is much more stringent as far as what we've been doing. We do not allow travel outside the county, only for the playoffs. And so everyone has been competing within the county. So we're staying in our own little bubble, which has been, as Dr. Cox says, been very productive and very good situation because we're not doing any traveling at this point. Any questions? Gladly take any at this time.
In addition, real quick, teams that are visiting us that are outside of our school district, Maclay, JP2, NFC, they have to abide by our guidelines. We will not play them. We will not enter a contest if they won't abide by our standards.
Could you just review the audience guidelines, particularly when people are inside a gymnasium?
Yes, for the high school events right now, and for middle school, when we start inside events, we haven't had any for middle school yet. High school, each player is given 4 tickets for their family. No general public tickets are sold. Everyone must have a mask on and keep a mask on when attending. And the players are asked to keep their mask on when they're not in the game. And we allow only the home cheerleaders, a section of them to come, not all 25 of them. They've got them divided up to come to home games. And each school sends a list of those players and coaches to each of the other schools. And we're only playing within Leon County. So that's how everyone is masked and asked to try to social distance.
Also at the door they sign in, right, Scott,
Yeah.
under each athlete's name.
Yes, they sign in and they get 4 tickets. There's 4 boxes for them to check. So we're talking about like 60 people if everybody came. So 120 to gym, which is less than the 25% capacity, and we keep them separated.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's somewhat reassuring, so I appreciate that. And one more thing about, you said the coaches ask for, have you been exposed and so forth, kind of like the list that we fill out every night when we come into the school board meeting.
Right.
This isn't so much for you, Scott, but I'm wondering if we could, at least the first week of school, or get people to go through some sort of process like this that's just more involved in walking in the door and getting your temperature checked, but asking parents on our application that we can send home to say, have you been, make them answer these questions. Have you been exposed? Have you been around? Have you had chills? So that they think twice before they send their child back to school on the 5th. I think everything we can do to really drive the point home is that we don't want anyone sick coming to school, and, that it's part of the public good to save, for their teachers. I think if you stick with that theme, people will respond.
Can we do that? I don't mean can we do that. It sounds like a good idea, but legally and with policy,
We're just asking the question. We're not saying you can't come to,
Okay.
We can say they can't come to school if they say, yes, they've been exposed or anything like that, right? We can say you have to quarantine.
Okay, just trying to be clear for the listening audience. Okay. Further questions, Mr. Superintendent?
I'm wrong, tell me.
Just one more. You make a very good point.
She does.
School board member Wood, And I don't know, there's, look, first of all, I've heard the superintendent stand here and talk to us with great frustration about what he knows has been the conspicuous and public activity of people who are engaged in our schools, and what he knows can be the subsequent impact of that same conspicuous behavior when they return to our schools. And I sometimes wonder, is it an option for, is there a punitive option even? I mean, when you, for example, if I am a teacher and I'm on Facebook and I'm at the club with no mask on, or at a Trump rally with no mask on, and then I come back to the classroom and then I'm ultimately infected with COVID, I have willfully put myself in harm's way. So I don't know if that, that's a conversation that's more rhetorical, but certainly it's something that, depending upon what we see here, because the implications of the response, what occurs in our behavior can impact entire schools if this continues to persist. Right? That's why I get worried about using allegories about light at the end of the tunnel, because sometimes people take their foot off the gas if they see an end in sight, rather than continue to press forward and continue to remain equally vigilant. And then here we have these protocols in the schools, but when the people are out of the schools, they behave permissively, then you wonder about that too, because the implication is that they can put other people at risk.
And that brings us down to January with everybody coming back. Where have you been? What did you do? Who were you with? And
these
is
are
that
not
our
easy
business?
stuff,
Okay. Further murmurs? Murmurs. I thought that was good. Dr. Cox is smiling. So, other information, Dr. Cox, to share with us?
No, I look forward to the day when this is behind us, to be honest with you. So
Well,
maybe one of these days.
Maybe next year this time, Dr. Cox.
I'm hoping.
Okay, Mrs. Superintendent.
No, Madam Chair, unless there's any other questions about any other issues.
Thank you, Alan, for being here every week and sharing with us that you've taken on a whole new role, and we just are so grateful for you, really, honestly.
Thanks.
Yes, we are.
And since we won't meet again, can you somehow communicate with us if you make some decisions about what we talked about here tonight in terms of informing the parents and talking to the teachers and just the whole, coming back to school, like it's going to be the first day of school again on January 5th, what the plans are going to be?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thanks.
That's a good summarization of where we've been and where we're going. Thank you for that discussion, colleagues and Mr. Superintendent and staff. That was openly on Schools Update. Now we're down to items of consent. Oh, may I say, please, I forgot. We want to make certain to say that Ms. Rasmussen is not with us tonight, is not feeling well, so we hope that she will continue to feel better. Don't want to miss that. All right, Ms. Strickland?
Yes, move approval, consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved. The consent agenda has been moved and approved. Questions?
Moved and seconded.
Who's,
Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones seconded. Yes. Did I not say
You
that?
just said moved and approved. You didn't mean to. You meant to say second.
I meant to say second. Down. Are there questions? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Let's say aye. Thank you, Ms. Wood.
Madam Chair, do we need to take up the construction consent separately still, or
I don't think
that
we do
include
tonight that she is not, that, I don't think we need to take that separately tonight.
This understanding, are all board members comfortable with your vote consisting of items 7 through 18?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay. We're on it. And so now that brings us to item 1901, does it not?
Yes.
So the superintendent recommends the purchase. Who is going to speak on this? Mr. Albritton is. Item 19.
Good evening, Board, Chair,
Good evening.
Superintendent. Item 1901 is the superintendent's recommendation for approval to purchase portables 0057 and 0058 located at Robb Middle School.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and approved.
Moved and seconded.
Moved and seconded. Why am I only approving stuff tonight?
You just want to get it done.
I am trying to get up. It's so important.
I love it.
You're up again.
Okay, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. All right, Mr. Superintendent, you're up for.
Madam Chair,
1902.
item 1902 is a very important item. It's the renewal of the
Yes, it
contract
is.
we have with Tyson Memorial Healthcare for our employee assistance program. The action item has a dollar amount of $37,000. Please approve this item.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Aha. Are there questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
And a shout out to TMH for continuing this partnership to provide this much needed service to all of our
Good.
employees, especially at this time. Thank
That's
you.
right.
Thank you, Tim.
Approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. You're back again, Mr. Albritton?
Item 1903, the
Yes.
superintendent's recommendation board approval of Clemens Rutherford and Associates, Inc., professional engineering consultant services, contract RFQ 4632021, professional architect counseling services for J. Michael Conley Elementary School, school-wide exterior plaster replacement project.
Move approval. Second.
It has been why can't I get past approved tonight?
Moved and seconded.
Moved and seconded. Moved and seconded. Questions?
Just a question.
Yes, sir.
Will this be the final item or expenditure to satisfy this issue? I know we were talking about this when I was first elected about the problems at Connolly.
No, go ahead, Andy.
This is the design engineer fee of $151,000. This does the design, and the next item is the recommendation for the CM.
Move approval.
Okay.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there questions about this item?
It's the next item, 1904, right?
Oh, but there was not a vote on
No, we
1903.
didn't, we didn't vote on 3.
I
so
still,
it's-
Madam Chair,
apologize.
I still see unreadiness. The prior matters that we were dealing with had to do with the dispute over the existing stucco on the site.
Okay.
So now that all of that is resolved, this is now to replace.
To fix it.
To fix it.
And so these two items will satisfy the issues at Connolly?
No, this is starting the process.
Oh, so
this
there
is
may be future costs down the line.
Yes, sir.
This is for the
This is the
architect,
first.
and then the next item is for the construction manager at risk, and they're going to start the process.
Oh, none of this has to do with actual
No, sir. We're not.
brick and mortar.
This is the design process.
Okay.
To make the repair.
All right. Thank you.
Good. And this is item 1903. Okay. Just
right.
want you to know that.
Voted on that.
I have a motion and a second.
And I have a motion and a second. Questions have been asked?
Yes.
Others? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
item
sir.
1904 is superintendent's recommendation approval for the interview committee. Recommendation authorizing the negotiation with Ram Construction Development LLC, RFQ 464-2021, construction manager at risk for J. Michael Conley Elementary School, school-wide plaster replacement.
Move approval. Second.
It's been moved and second. Are there questions? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. All right. You mean you don't have anything else to share with us, Mr. Albritton? Then that takes us to legal services agreement. Dr. Michelle Gale, you're there.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent, school board members. Legal services agreement, we had a workshop on this on yesterday. The superintendent recommends approval to enter into an interim contract from January 15, 2021 through June 30th, 2021 with the Pittman Law Group. The terms of that contract were explored extensively on yesterday.
Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Are there questions? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Gale. Information items and upcoming meetings, as you note there. Superintendent's reports from board liaisons. Are there any? May we just say about that we attended the Florida School Board's situation. My sugar's dropping. We attended the Florida School Boards Association's virtual meeting. It was outstanding, wonderful speakers, wonderful ideas. We will share additional information later on. I've already shared with the superintendent and staff some possible speakers for some of the issues and areas that we've been talking about. Would there be other comments that you'd like to make about that at this time, or can we wait until next till next year, next meeting. Okay. Superintendent's comments.
Briefly, Madam Chair, just like I know this is our only meeting before
Yes.
we break, and wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year,
Mhm.
and please safely, be responsibly, enjoy time at a distance with your family, with your immediate family, and to Ms. Wood's point, we will be making a plea to our parents and community,
Absolutely.
because they're the front line of keeping us where we are, and because of the responsible behavior of Arsha and all of her classmates, that's the reason we're still in school.
Mhm.
And I want to thank our parents and our students for how responsible they've been. But to Mr. Jones's point, let's don't get fatigued. Although it does help, like Dr. Cox said, when I'm on that last lap, for me to see there is light, it kind of gives me a little push to keep on going. But again, to please enjoy your family, and when you return, that we continue to practice the protocols we put in place to keep our community safe.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Continuing concerns?
My concerns have been addressed, thank you.
They've been addressed.
Madam-
Wishes from board members?
I have continuing concerns.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank Dr. Gale and Ms. Coffey most specifically for what has been here in this very first semester in our re-enrollment since the restart of our schools following COVID, whether it was the work of the task force, which they helped to manage, then helped to manage our work in terms of reopening and our engagement in that. I want to thank them both for what has been their efforts on our behalf in helping to coordinate our activities. To that end, there are some things that we have talked about over the course of the time prior to the pandemic and some things since that I'd like to be able to revisit in the brand new year. And if Ms. Coffey could help me with the following items. The issue I brought before the board regarding the reopening of the consolidation of the histories of the original Lincoln High School started by the Freedmen's Bureau of Florida back in 1867 with the current Lincoln High School in our district. The Equity and Equality Committee that Ms. Bowen and I both talked about. If Ms. Bowen would be willing, I know that there is a current committee that is staffed by Mr. Shane Seifert and Wallace Knight. If we could possibly, in an effort to conserve time and effort, talk either offline or in writing, how we might expand the scope of that committee to capture that what we intended, because you'll recall what we wanted to see was in response to what we saw were some personnel concerns and a greater interest in making certain that we had the type of training of our faculty to be sensitive. And then we also had persons like Michelle Pletch from Fort Braden, Tyler McClinton from Hartsfield, were persons who availed themselves when we're willing to serve on that committee.
That's right.
If we expand the scope of your already existing committee, Mr. Superintendent, perhaps we could include those persons and still be able to satisfy the work. We talked about in our committee that we were talking about was a review of policy to make sure that it had the types of language and lingo and jargon that was inclusive and represented what we knew were our values. If that already staffed committee could be expanded to include those persons who expressed interest in the first committee we talked about, then we wouldn't have to recreate the wheel, just widen the spokes, for lack of a better allegory. Okay? And if we can talk about that with you and Ms. Bowen separately, so we won't have to publicly notice it, Ms. Opal.
No, any two board members coming together. So
We're not coming together, so I said she could talk with us separately, so we won't have to come together.
I understand, but just allow me,
Okay.
in an abundance of caution, but because of the potential for there to be an exchange of information, Dr. Gale serving as a conduit between you all on your respective ideas on how this committee can be expanded. If this is something that you both have ideas on, then I strongly encourage you to just set it up for a workshop for the board to discuss with the superintendent, so that it is in the sunshine. This is something that is important to both of you all. It's likely not going to be something that each of you can just provide information to Dr. Gale and she can take the information and go with. You're going to want to know how it's developing and have a conversation with the superintendent, and then you'll invariably hear about what the other board member is thinking about. That's the conduit piece that runs afoul of the Sunshine Law. So if this is something that you want to have the conversation and you're asking that it be, that you take this existing committee and you want to have thoughts and comments about it, I recommend that it occur in a workshop.
All right. Well, okay. Well, okay. But, all right. I will defer.
Okay, well, he is on. We will have a workshop.
I will
It
defer.
is important.
I was trying to avoid that for you all because I figured that the staff can manage our interests without us having to do that because she talks, well, anyway, okay. I'll defer to what you say do. I have nothing else. As long as I don't care how the sausage is made, I just want to eat.
Really?
I want to also acknowledge, I don't know if Dr. Cox is still on the line, the mental health activities that have, workshops that have been occurring for the district on our social media campaign have been extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. He and Miss Fitzgerald, what they have done in terms of engagement, the only criticism I would have is that perhaps we could have a schedule, no different than a guide, particularly for those things that we know are scheduled in advance, so that we can be prepared. Because I know, for example, myself, I saw it, I get a notification when the school board or the school district website goes live. Perhaps a schedule of that stuff, particularly since we now with the YouTube channel and our Facebook Live activities, but it has been proved to be extraordinary information, and I've been able to refer families to the website to get that information, that it might be the salvo and panacea for them that they need, particularly in these times. So kudos to him and to his team. The last two issues are, one, I know that we talked about a teleworking policy. I don't know where we are with that. I don't know what happened with it.
We're working on it.
Okay.
We're teleworking on it.
We're teleworking on it? All right.
No, we are working on it.
All
Yes,
right,
we had
gotcha.
we are.
And then my last continuing concern is I would like Miss Coffey to help me and it's me, and nobody coming with me. It's just me and Miss Opal is coming with me, right? But I want us to talk about the Cradle to Careers project. And I want to talk with you about how we get that conversation started. And I need your guidance with that. So if you could schedule time to meet with me, me and Dr. Gale, to talk about my Cradles to Careers project. I remember I mentioned that once before. And then I understand if you and the school board chair and the superintendent, if y'all met with that committee, did y'all take my idea about workforce housing for our teachers to that committee, as I mentioned at our last board meeting?
That topic did not come up at that meeting the other day, Mr. Jones. Oh, please forgive us, but I suspect that we can at the very next meeting.
She's sitting in between the two of us, so come on. No,
really, we did.
Y'all got me next time?
Yeah,
we got you next time.
All right, thank you. Those are my concerns.
Okay, and thank you, Mr. Jones. That's wonderful. We all need our feet kind of held to the fire.
No,
and
just want to do as a
remember,
reminder. That's all.
That's all to remind us.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Ms. Strickland, give me 1 second, please, with the expanded workshop dates that Mr. Jones was talking about. To come up with some dates at some point that we can do this next year. We don't want it just to be out there and not have any dates. So we'll be talking about trying to pull some dates for that workshop together. Dr. Gill, I guess. Okay. Ms. Strickland?
Thank you. Two, not really concerns, just items of note. One, we have an angel among us. Board Member Jones is an incredible activist in our community, and every time I see his name on something, I'm like, how many hours exist in your day? Because there's only 24 in mine, but there seems to be about 80 in your day every day. So I really want to shout to everyone this Stuff the Truck initiative that they have going Saturday, December the 12th from 12 to 4. I mean, this is is gonna provide Christmas for so many families. So look, he's got it. Nope, look at Denver. He's got the camera angles from everywhere, man.
That's
He's
right.
got it all over the place.
Yeah.
So Daryl, I am like I said, you are an angel among us, and you care about so many kids, and you show it. You don't just talk it. You walk it, and you show it in all kinds of ways. So this is community-wide, I assume. If you can bring anything wrapped or unwrapped, new, bring it, stuff it in the truck. I would assume that truck is going to be overflowing by the end of the day, and is going to be distributed to families at many Title I schools, I would assume. And this is just a huge initiative. So it's going to take a lot of us 10 minutes. Just go do it. They're going to be at the Whole Foods parking lot right there on Thomasville Road this Saturday. This Saturday, friends. Whole Foods parking lot, 12 to 4. Take something, stuff the bus. Mr. Jones, you're a hero.
Absolutely. A wonderful commercial. Nicely done. Good
it
work.
It was. And let me also thank Mr. Jones. We have a number of groups, like Southwood Hand and Foot is sponsoring gifts for kids at Conley. We have a number of organizations that are giving in our community that we are very thankful for to provide a Christmas for children who otherwise would go without. And so thank you, Board Member Jones, and all of those organizations out there that are in support of our school children. Because now more than ever, kids need something positive in their life. So thank you.
Christmas Connection, I know, is also taking items and providing Christmases for a lot of families. So yes,
this is wonderful. Good work.
Second item, I just want to mention real quick. The governor's order, I had asked that we have sort of a legislative breakdown. I don't know if you guys saw they did a live presentation press conference. I guess it was about a week and a half ago, and very much noted on some funding issues for our second semester. And what I found of extreme interest while I was like superintendent, I saw I thought our decline in enrollment made national news last night, and not Leon County and not state of Florida, nationwide made national news, the decline of enrollment in our schools and where have our students gone. But in this announcement that the governor made, we apparently have 24 counties in the state of Florida whose enrollment has increased. 24 districts, their enrollment has increased. And it's my understanding from this release that they did, those districts are going to be rewarded financially, and then there's going to be a bucket of money that then is split between the rest of the counties, so no one is penalized for a loss that they may not have, and it was to the tune, I want to say $17 million. So we have 24 counties that are going to be rewarded. Why their enrollment increased, I don't think we can say. They could have already been experiencing a boom. They could have been, we had reports of people, let's say from Atlanta, that retreated to our coastlines to actually live and work remotely. That could be a source of enrollment. We don't know that. But I've asked Jessica Janasiewicz, our lobbyist, to come in January and really share with us, and I'm sure Kim will be in on that as well. What does that mean for our district? What is that disbursement and that kind of pooling of those funds for the rest of the districts who experience a decline like us? What does that mean for us? So had asked her to come, so I believe she'll be with us, Dr. Gale, January the
11th. Okay.
11, something like that. Now, goodness knows that could change between now and then. So, but I'm sure Jessica will keep us apprised of whatever it is that we have going on and what that means for our district financially. And I'm sure Kim will be in on that.
Yeah, there are a number of counties that have experienced growth over the last several years now. Those surrounding Orlando, Tampa. I mean, we're not one of them. But to your point, it's about $17 million because it's really not fair if they're experiencing growth for them not to get those additional funds for additional students. And then there will be, we will lose some money, but it won't be the 10 to 15 million we were bracing for, which is the good news.
Right. So just wanted to note that she'll be here with us to answer this question. So
that's great.
We'll discuss that in January.
During that
great update, yes, ma'am.
During that update, could we also just get numbers of private school, especially the Hope scholarships? And
yeah, so I have actually, Dr. Gale is working along with Naomi and the FTE folks and Jamie Holloman, School Choice, to give you all a report in the 1st of January of just that information.
Okay, thank you.
Good. We've got a lot happening in January. I'm glad. I mean, we've got a full calendar of events if we were to look at it like that. So Dr. Gale is on her toes. I hope that she can get some rest over this holiday, because we keep giving it to her and we take it back and we make up, we think of something else. And so we thank you, Dr. Gale.
She runs marathons. She's all right.
She
Yeah,
does.
she runs marathons.
She does.
She
But
got tennis shoes on.
I recognize that we do put her through the
She got
grind,
choices.
but she eats her Wheaties and keeps on ticking. Okay, now, is there other business to come before this order?
Are we at new concerns now, ma'am?
Well, I thought we just done that.
We did continue.
Overflowed into.
I'm sorry. Well, that's where we are now, sir.
If I may, I just
Yeah.
have a couple of things I just want to bring before you just to consider. And if I and that have occurred to me, I noticed that the FHSA championship is coming to Leon County.
I did too. Yeah.
I noticed that because of the size of our stadium,
Yeah.
that it's now being moved to Florida State University because of COVID and social distancing restrictions. As we continue to make investments in these fields, I remember that was one of the first things that I remember when I first came on, when you came and talked to us about investing in the first field. And I think I may have mentioned this before, my interest as an economic development professional and what I know is the great value of sports tourism. And I love to talk, and this is not in the immediate future, Mr. Superintendent, but as a part of your visioning, I'd like to talk about what we know is, and you know as a coach, those listen to me, I sound like my grandfather. As a coach.
No, you said coach. I heard you.
I'm sorry.
That took me back.
I'm sorry. As a coach, I know you know, you can appreciate most specifically the value in sports tourism. And I think it can be a valuable stream of revenue for us. And so perhaps there can be discussions in our future about how we maximize that potential and what could be possible other streams of revenue to invest in it for the expansion of our facilities to meet what we know is a growing demand. I know we all know families who are traveling across the Southeast, going to sports competitions and trials and practices and the like, who are involved in both scholastic athleticism, but in private club athleticism as well. And with this major investment we're making in our facility, I know I would hope it would be our intent to recoup some of that return on our investment. And so if there's a plan of engagement sometime in the next 3 to 6 months, we could talk about what that looks like. Okay? So you got that, Ms. Coffey? Okay. The foundation was here earlier. As an employee of the district, I know that I make a contribution annually to the foundation that I payroll deduct. Miss Woods, I remember, gave her campaign monies.
$10,000.
$10,000 to the foundation.
Wonderful.
And I was thinking that, and I don't know that if we have it, I haven't heard of it, and I get employee mail like any other employee, but a purposeful, no different than how we make a big push to collect United Way. What if we had a faculty staff endowment campaign for our own foundation? Imagine if 5,000 of our employees were to give $100 a year, which equates to about $8 or $9 a month, which could net for us nearly $500,000. And I think we have not sometimes because we ask not. And I know that there is a payroll deduction option because I use it for my own contribution. So I was wondering if that could be something that we could consider, because if imagine when you know different than any of us who watch the news or watch these things, and they tell you for a cup of coffee you can feed a family of 4, right? Well, imagine for $9 a month, if every employee gave at minimum $100 to equate to about $8 a month, the impact that would have and our ability to make even more awards and our foundation to make an even greater impact. And I learned that lesson from FAMU when we were in school. Well, I was in school before Attorney Williams. I'm ahead of her. Not much, just a little. But we had that endowment, and we found that, it was extremely successful, and people were very much responsive. So I want to support the United Way, but we also can support our own foundation. And then finally, I'm getting complaints, Mr. Superintendent, or not complaints, observations about the food. Can we revisit the food that we distribute to those children who are in digital academies? I imagine you may have also heard some concerns. And so if we could look into that, please, about the food that we're giving to kids in digital academies and stuff like that. All right? Compared to what they're getting on site. All right?
Mr. Jones, to add to your idea, there are a lot of retirees that retired and still have great fondness for Leon County schools, and I think that might be a good group to tap in that effort.
All of our constituencies, I think you're right.
It'd be a great idea, and the time could be right again to do that, particularly given that there's such a giving community. Great ideas. I certainly hope that this community can see and feel what I see and feel and appreciate in my colleagues on this board. Their skills, their commitment, the seriousness with which they go about carrying out their duties and responsibilities. I'm very proud to be a part of this group. And the superintendent and his staff, we're just, I think, in the right time and the right place to make the kinds of changes that we're trying to make. So I say that with a very full and sincere heart as we get ready to enter this season of giving, I'm going to say. This season for whatever it will be to you, since this is our last meeting of the year. I wish each of you well, health, wealth, happiness. Hug those folk that are closest to you. I need to say that very carefully. If you must hug, but be careful, wear your mask, and come back next year rejuvenated. Use this time as a wonderful respite to keep in touch with yourself and with those things to you that are most important. And we've got much work to do. And I'm glad that we're in this together, aren't you? All minds clear?
All minds clear.
We're adjourned.